Hi everyone, I hope you're well. I recently got my pair of the adidas Terrex Speed Ultra, and I took them out on a first run this morning, which I did a half marathon out on the local trails in Chelmsford. I was really excited about getting this shoe because for the last few years I've been wanting a shoe similar to the Adizero Boston or Adios, but for the trails with extra grip. So I had kind of high hopes for this shoe. So I'll let you know how I found them. So this shoe was designed obviously with the Adidas Terrex team in close collaboration with Tom Evans, who's a British ultra runner. He kind of broke onto the scene when he finished third in the Marathon des Sables, which is a 251k ultra through the desert over like 4 or 5 days. So yeah, that was the best result from a European in that race in its history. So yeah, amazing result. And basically he signed up on a whim, kind of after having a bet with some of his friends, like in the pub, I believe. So yeah, amazing result. And since then, he won the 101k CCC. That was in 2018, which is in the UTMB series, and he finished third in the Western States in 2019, clocking 14:59 in his debut 100 miler. So yeah, he's got an amazing range. He's ran fast 5Ks and half marathons as well. And he now coaches with Team Project Run, and I believe trains kind of full time. So yeah, great runner, and amazing that he collaborated with the team at Terrex to make this shoe. So yeah, into some of the tech. Let's start with fit and the upper. So it's got a really nice, lightweight, breathable upper, which will be good for kind of drainage if it's kind of wet as well. The key thing with this shoe is it's designed for kind of racing those ultra marathons like 100Ks, 100 milers. But obviously, when you think Tom's a super efficient runner, super quick runner, it might be that this is sort of a versatile shoe, and it might be more of a marathon or 50K racing shoe for you on the trails. Or if not shorter than that, you could race kind of like your local park run if you're going on grass and mud. But you want something really light and nimble for that. So that's something worth mentioning. Yeah, I found the fit really good. I went for the same size that I would go for in an Adizero Boston or Adios. They do fit relatively narrow or a bit shorter than some of the other shoes like the Ultra Boost or Solar Boost in the Adidas range. So yeah, really worth going up a half size, I would say. In terms of the upper, it's got a good bit of reinforcement, especially kind of, yeah, at the front where sometimes your big toe may kind of pop up through like a lightweight mesh, which some people get on like road shoes. So that's good that that's reinforced. Yeah, really snug fit. It's basically taken some kind of design parts from some of the road shoes. So for instance, it's got a gusseted tongue like a lot of the other Adizero shoes have, which gives you a really snug fit, nice lockdown. The tongue is actually perforated, so it's got kind of holes in, so nice and breathable. Again, makes it a bit more lightweight. And then in the heel, it's really nice and soft. So it's almost kind of like a sort of felt material, really comfortable. Yeah, and throughout the whole run, I found that my kind of heel and my ankles held in really securely. But I just had a decent amount of wiggle room in the forefoot. And obviously, when you're doing those longer runs, you want room for your toes to splay and your feet to heat up and expand. So yeah, fit was perfect. It's very similar to sort of the Adizero Boston if you've had a pair of them. Yeah, that's a great road shoe, and yeah, this is a great fit for a trail shoe when you're wanting to push the pace and you want it to be nimble on the trails. So yeah, when I was weaving through kind of the trees, sort of around some roots and things, yeah, provided a really great fit. In terms of the upper, also something worth mentioning on the upper is that you've got kind of a couple of extra sort of eyelets, and there's quite a lot of eyelets as it is, so that can give you a nice lockdown as well. So you can get kind of a relatively bespoke sort of fit if you're a little bit broader in the midfoot. You want to open it up a little bit. So yeah, or if you want to lock down a little bit more, then you've obviously got the extra eyelet at the top where you can do kind of the runner's laces. So yeah, overall really impressed with the lockdown. Something worth mentioning on the upper is that the three stripes have reflective detailing. So if you are doing an ultra and then you're in the night, and yeah, you want to be seen, so that when head torches and things hit this, that's going to kind of light up and people are going to see you, which is good. So yeah, overall impressed with the upper, but it's quite, yeah, trustworthy, sort of similar, like I say, to the Boston and the Adios. So I ran a lot in the Boston yesterday, so it kind of felt quite natural then running in this morning. So in terms of the midsole next, this has boost, so obviously gives you a high amount of energy return, nice and soft, good cushioning, and then it also has kind of a light EVA or light strike, then going kind of around the foot, kind of all around the heel as well, and then through the forefoot, and more of it kind of through the forefoot to give you that kind of responsive, propulsive feel of the forefoot. Also worth mentioning is that this has kind of a rocker shape, so kind of in comparison to the Boston, I actually found this felt a little bit more responsive, propulsive, just because of the shape of it. When you're getting through sort of midfoot, forefoot and toeing off, it just felt super smooth. And because it's such a lightweight shoe, coming in at 240 grams for a UK 8.5, it just felt that I was really nice and efficient, that I wasn't having to work hard to pick my feet up. It just felt really smooth when I locked into sort of around my marathon pace. So I started out at kind of 4.5 minute K pace and then was working my way up close to 4 minute K pace towards the end. And it felt just super efficient and like I got into a really good rhythm and flow on the smooth trails. So yeah, great amount of cushioning, really impressed with that. I'd also almost say kind of feels similar to the shoes that have kind of carbon plates or energy rods in. That when you lock into a flow or movement in them, that your legs just feel like they're spinning around and super efficient, and it just felt so smooth running in this morning. So yeah, really happy with that, and looking forward to doing plenty more miles in it. In terms of the outsole, obviously this is a big part of the shoe for a trail shoe. So yeah, lots of lugs and a really good amount of grip. Obviously loads of Continental rubber, which is really durable. I've had plenty of Adidas running shoes with Continental on the bottom before, and it's just, yeah, so trustworthy, really durable. In terms of the lug design, they're almost kind of configured in this sort of chevron shape, so it's hard to see with the pattern, but in the forefoot they're kind of facing forwards, and then in the heel they're kind of facing backwards, so it's going to give you that grip whether you're going up or down hills. And then also the lugs that are on the sides are just a little bit kind of wider, larger, and deeper as well, which is really good because obviously when you're taking corners quickly and you're racing hard, and you're wanting to get your personal bests out on the trails potentially, then it's going to give you that biting edge on the outside. The lugs, they're 2.5 millimeters deep. So yeah, decent amount of traction. Obviously it was hard packed trails out there today. So looking forward to testing them when it is a little bit wetter and muddier. But yeah, I think overall this should do really, really well. Potentially, if it's a little bit wetter and muddier, then you might want shoes with slightly larger lugs. But I believe in the Speed range, there's also the Speed Pro and the Speed Pro Soft Ground, and they're even lighter, but yeah, with more grip. So there is a range of speed shoes now in the Terrex range. So that's really, really good, depending on what you're using it for. Some people might be doing kind of obstacle course racing and things like that. So yeah, you may want a bit more grip when it's super wet and muddy for that sort of stuff. But yeah, for hard packed trails, nice and smooth, without too much kind of, yeah, too much in the way, like rocks or boulders and things like that, this is a great shoe. So yeah, for kind of river trails, tow paths, if you're needing to do some road to trail, say like Hampstead Heath in London, I think it's going to be a great option. Something worth mentioning about the amount of cushioning, over the first kind of couple of K, I could kind of really feel the ground because they felt so responsive. I really like shoes like that because they're nice and light, really propulsive. Some people, if you've been kind of running in a shoe with a bit more cushioning, it might feel a little bit strange to begin with. But for me, I think it's good to feel kind of tree roots and yeah, the unevenness of the ground, so you feel nice and stable and you're kind of pushing off. Because yeah, if there's too much cushioning or there's so much stack height, it can feel unstable and your ankles can be rolling and you could get niggles and injuries that way. So yeah, worth mentioning that. But overall, yeah, really, really impressed with how it felt. And after I got used to that, it did feel super smooth throughout the rest of the run. In terms of some of the key stats, like I say, Comes in around 240 grams for a UK 8.5, so super lightweight. A lot of other brands are closer to sort of 300 grams for an ultra racing shoe, but that's just quite bulky and heavy. So I think that's a really good weight. Again, quite close to a Boston or Adios weight really. So that's really, really good. The heel to toe drop, you have 27 millimeters kind of in the heel, and then it is 19 in the forefoot. So 8 millimeters heel to toe. And that's quite similar to a Boston as well. The Boston is 26 in the heel, 16 in the forefoot, so 10 mil heel to toe drop. So yeah, that's a good, decent sort of heel to toe drop, and good weight. I think that is pretty much kind of everything kind of tech wise. But yeah, like I say, overall really, really impressed. Yeah, I think it's a great shoe if you're wanting to do some sort of longer runs and even tempo paced efforts like on the trails. Like last year when the trails were kind of hard packed, I was taking the Boston out on the trails, but I think now it's just good to have that little bit more grip. Even when it's a bit more gravelly and dusty, it's just going to give me a bit more kind of protection and an extra grip and more confidence to kind of attack the trails. Better than using a road shoe and wearing them out on the trail. So it's good to have this in my rotation now. Like I was saying about if you prefer shoes with a bit more cushioning, in the Terrex trail running shoe range, you've got things like the Terrex 2 Ultra Parley. So this has loads of boost. So I was wearing this a lot for when myself and Lorna, we were doing kind of closer to like a marathon or 50k out on the trails. Because it was hard packed, I wanted a good amount of cushioning, just sort of easy pace, just getting the miles in, and this was great for that. But it's just a little bit kind of soft and not quite as responsive as something like the Terrex Speed Ultra. So yeah, like I say, depending on what you're doing on the trails, the Terrex range now has something to offer everyone, which is great. And yeah, like I say, can't wait to do hopefully some local trail races in this very, very soon. If you have any comments or questions about the shoe or about the Terrex range, do drop them below, and I'll try and get back to you. But yeah, enjoy your running.